Age 60 is not just a number. It is a milestone, a point in life that holds so many stories. Behind the hair that is starting to whiten, and steps that are no longer as fast as before lies wisdom not possessed by those who are younger. This age is a reflection of time filled with struggles, laughter, tears, losses, and small victories that are not always known to others. Many view age 60 as a time of retirement from work, but in reality, it is a moment to start living more honestly with oneself. No longer busy chasing recognition, and no longer having to prove anything. At this age, there is space to start releasing unnecessary burdens so that the soul becomes lighter and the heart becomes more peaceful. Because as time goes by, you will start to realize that happiness is not about having everything but being able to let go of what is no longer important, reducing burdens so that your steps towards the end of this journey feel calmer, more spacious, and full of meaning. This video is not to teach or lecture, but as a gentle reminder that life at age 60 is a beautiful opportunity given by the universe to make peace with the past, welcome today, and entrust the future to the one who arranges everything. And to get there are 5 things that it is time to let go of. 5 things that, if kept, will only drain your peace. So, let's begin. The first thing you must release when you are 60 years old is regret over the past. No human can repeat time. What has happened in the past, whether it was a wrong decision, a missed opportunity, or words spoken unintentionally, has all become part of your life story. At age 60, it is very natural for the heart to sometimes remember things that have happened, especially things that have not been fixed or lived as expected. But continuing to live in regret will only add burden to the rest of the journey that should be lived more lightly. The past is a harsh but also wise teacher. It comes not to hurt but to teach. Every mistake ever made is part of the process of becoming mature. Every failure that once felt painful is now proof that you have tried, been brave, and grown. Sometimes we regret how we raised our children, decisions in marriage, or choices in work. But truly, whatever was decided and done back then was from the best place you knew at that time. You lived life with all its limitations, with hope, with love, and with good intentions. Even if the results were not always perfect, and that is enough. Now is no longer the time to curse the past, not the time to repeat stories that cannot be changed, but this is the right time to make peace, to accept that life does not have to be perfect to remain meaningful. Because truly, the beauty of life comes through the small cracks you have experienced. Releasing regret does not mean forgetting but accepting that you have gone through everything and are still standing today. And that is an extraordinary victory. Life is too short to keep repeating what cannot be fixed. What you can do now is forgive. Forgive the past, forgive the people who have hurt you, and most importantly, forgive ourselves. Now is the time for you to make space in your heart for peace. Because only a peaceful heart can fully enjoy today, and only a heart that accepts the past can step calmly towards the future, whatever its form. The second thing you must let go of when you are 60 years old is unnecessary guilt. There is a feeling that quietly grows with age, which is guilt. Guilt for feeling like you weren't a perfect parent, guilt for having hurt someone's feelings even if unintentionally, guilt for feeling like you didn't give enough, weren't present enough, or weren't wise enough when needed in the past. At 60, all those memories sometimes appear like shadows that constantly follow your steps. But there is one thing you need to realize with all your heart. Guilt that is constantly nurtured will not fix anything. It will only steal your peace today. And more importantly, not everything that happened was your fault. In the past, you did your best with what you knew. You made decisions based on the understanding, experience, and abilities you had at that time. Maybe it wasn't perfect, but that doesn't mean you failed. You are not a flawless human, and that is not a mistake. It is part of being human. Guilt sometimes comes from a gentle heart, a heart full of love and care. But don't let that feeling turn into a burden that binds your soul. Because you also deserve to be happy. You also deserve to feel light in your heart. If there is something you can fix today, then fix it. But if not, then the best thing is to accept, forgive, and let go. Because God never demands perfection. What God sees is good intentions, sincerity, and the effort to be better. And if you still feel guilty towards someone, it's never too late to say sorry, even though prayer. But after that, give yourself permission not to be constantly punished by the past. Because in the end, you also deserve to feel peaceful. You deserve to sit calmly in your old age without being constantly haunted by shadows that cannot be repeated. You have suffered enough carrying that burden for so long. Now it's time to embrace yourself and say, I have tried, I am enough, and I deserve to be forgiven. Let go of that guilt. Because life is still precious, and peace of heart is the best gift you can give yourself at this age. The third thing you must let go of when you are 60 years old is the burden of making everyone happy. Throughout your life, you may have been a source of support for many people. Being a parent who always tried to make your children feel sufficient. Being a partner who tried to give your best even when often tired. Being a sibling, friend, neighbor, or even colleague who tried to be present and help when needed. And often, you sacrificed your own desires and happiness for the sake of seeing others smile. But at this age, there is one truth that needs to be accepted sincerely. You cannot and do not have to make everyone happy, because everyone's happiness is not your full responsibility. It is too heavy if you continue to carry the hopes, desires, and expectations of others on your shoulders that have long held so much. There are times when you feel guilty if you cannot fulfill your children's wishes. There are times when you are afraid of being labeled selfish if you start thinking about yourself. But truly, loving and prioritizing yourself at this age is not a form of selfishness. It is a need of the soul, because you are also human. You also have the right to feel sufficient, to feel peaceful, to feel worthy of happiness. The burden of always pleasing others often makes you lose direction. We forget who we really are. We forget that life is not just about giving, but also about receiving. Not just about being a servant for the happiness of others, but also about being a guardian of your own peace. At 60, it's time to be more honest with yourself. If you're tired, rest. If you can't, don't force it. If you've done good, don't feel guilty for not being able to do more. Because you've done a lot in this life, and that's more than enough. Free yourself from pleasing everyone, because even if you've given everything, there will still be people who feel it's not enough. So instead of spending the rest of your time constantly adjusting to others' expectations, it's better to start making space to recognize what truly brings peace to your heart. And when you start letting go of that burden, you will find something very valuable, which is freedom. The freedom to be yourself, to feel peaceful, to live lighter without having to constantly prove anything. Now is the time to celebrate your life, not by being busy pleasing everyone, but by rediscovering the meaning of simple happiness. Enough in your heart, calm in your mind, and sincere in your steps. If you are still watching this video and find this lesson useful, please comment 1 below to let me know you are still with me. The fourth thing is competition and the desire for recognition. Now let's move on to something more important that you should let go of when you are 60 years old. Competition and the desire for recognition. In the journey of life, we spend a lot of time proving something. Proving that we are capable. Proving that we deserve to be appreciated. Seeking recognition from parents, partners, children, friends, and even from an environment that doesn't always care. Competition after competition, race after race, sometimes makes us forget that life is not about who is first or higher, but about how we live it with a calm heart. But now at 60, the universe wants you to know, you no longer have to compete. There is nothing left to prove. There is nothing left to chase just for the sake of being recognized. Because your self-worth is not in the position you once held, the wealth you have accumulated, or the praise you have received. Your self-worth is in your loyalty in living life, in your sincerity in giving love, in your resilience in enduring life's storms. This age is not the time to look left and right, comparing your achievements or the lives of others with your own. Because every soul has its own timeline, its own struggles. It is not fair if you measure yourself by the standards of other people's lives. If in the past you ever felt left behind or not good enough in the eyes of others, let that go now. Because often the desire for recognition only makes you mentally exhausted. It is not uncommon for your happiness to be sacrificed just to appear successful in the eyes of others. One thing worth contemplating is that you don't need to be a great figure for your life to be meaningful. Just being someone who faithfully lives life with good intentions is more than enough. The world may not record all your struggles, but the universe knows you have been through a lot, and God sees it without you having to prove it. Let go of the desire to be constantly compared. Let go of the desire to always appear strong, great, or perfect. Because you have reached this point, not because you won in a competition, but because you kept walking even when you stumbled. Now is the time for you to live for yourself. Enjoy the morning without having to think about targets. Enjoy togetherness without the burden of proof, and enjoy the day with a sense of enough. Because in the end, Peace is the highest achievement that a soul that has gone through various seasons of life can feel. So, relax, you don't need to be recognized by the world. Because those who truly love you don't need a reason to appreciate you. And most importantly, you don't need anyone's permission to feel sufficient and happy. Now let's take a deep breath. Finally, let's talk about the fifth thing you should let go of when you are 60 years old, which is excessive worry about the future. For some, the future is a source of hope, but for others, especially in old age, the future can sometimes be a source of worry. What will happen later? Will this body remain strong? Will the children still pay attention to us? Will we live alone? What about health, finances, and the loneliest question, what if no one cares anymore? All these questions are natural, because humans tend to fear uncertainty, especially when the days feel slower and the life that was once busy is now quiet. But one thing you need to embrace tightly at this age is that worry will not change the future. It will only steal the peace of today. Thinking too much about what may not happen will only tire the heart. Yet, you have safely passed through many things in life, even though you were also afraid when facing them. Isn't that proof that the universe has never truly left you? The future is indeed a mystery, but don't let it disturb your peace today, because today is real. Today is a gift. The air you breathe, the food you enjoy, simple conversations with people you love. That is what is most valuable. The future can be prepared for, but it doesn't need to be feared. At this age, what is needed more is not anxiety but trust. Trust that you have struggled enough, that you have given a lot, that God will not just let go of your hand after you have come this far. If you are still given time, it means you are still needed. Perhaps not to work hard like before, but to be a light for your children, a comfort for your grandchildren, a living prayer for the generation after you. And that is also an extraordinary form of usefulness. Let go of those worries one by one, replace them with gratitude, replace them with the belief that everything will go according to plan, even if you don't always understand it now. Remember, you don't have to know what will happen tomorrow to feel peaceful today. You just need to believe that whatever comes, you are not alone. You will always be guided, protected, and strengthened. And if tomorrow comes, welcome it with an open heart. If not, then today is beautiful enough to be grateful for. Age 60 is not a sign that everything is over. In fact, this is where life begins to show its deepest meaning. When the outer world begins to slow down, the inner world begins to speak more honestly. It invites you to look back with full acceptance and look forward with a lighter heart. Letting go of those 5 things does not mean giving up or stopping caring. In fact, that is the highest form of wisdom. Letting go of past pain, the guilt that keeps gnawing, the burden of making everyone happy, the desire to be constantly recognized, and worry about the future are steps towards a more peaceful, sincere, and complete life. Life does not wait for someone to be perfect. Life only waits for someone to be fully present. And when you can start being present for yourself without burdensome wounds, without heavy thoughts, that is when you are truly alive. Now let this age be a new chapter that does not need to be colored by regret, competition, or worry. Let it be filled with tranquility, wisdom, and gratitude for all that has happened and is happening. Because in reality, nothing is truly too late in life as long as you are still willing to greet yourself with gentleness and fill the rest of your time with meaning. And at this age, the greatest meaning of life is to make peace, be grateful, and love life in the simplest way. Now I want to hear from you. What is one thing you learned today that you will start practicing in your life? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. I want to know which secret to a calm and happy life speaks to you the most. If you liked this video, please leave your comments below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stay strong, stay healthy, and I will see you in the next video.